Hey, so this training, this transmission is coming through, and I'm literally in the majesty of my bed with the most delightful candle going. It's like a sugar cinnamon donut candle, and it is pouring buckets outside. And this is the perfect time to share this training that I'm so excited about, which I'm calling your hell yes and hell no list. And I want to open this up with a quote from the one, the only P. Diddy, who said so eloquently, set some goals, stay quiet about them, smash the hell out of them, and then clap for your damn self. That was actually part of a great song that he did many years ago with Notorious B.I.G. So that opens up this really just being in sovereignty of your time and your energy and really staying true to, we all have our visions, we all have our goals, we all say we want to achieve certain things, but it's, the opportunity to get really sober about how much time you are spending doing things that are depleting, like scrolling social media, comparing yourself to other people, complaining, wallowing, carrying around shame, worrying about the future, versus, putting that into something more constructive, something that is actually going to move you forward into your vision. And the cool science here is that it actually only takes, and again, this is kind of scientifically said, about 15% of using your time, and really what we mean is attention. So it only takes about 15% to like 50% of that time, 15, in a different direction can make a really significant change. So you are becoming, the goal here is, no matter what your goal is that you're becoming more efficient. But in order to become more efficient, you have to become honest. So you kind of get to really look at this. And I like to go radical with this, like with all my clients and myself included. Go for 30%. Like, if you took 1/3 of the time that you spend, focusing on other people's lives, and P.S., like, as women, we're really good at this. We're really good at being nosy and getting involved in our kids' drama and other people's drama and comparing ourselves to other people. And if we took all of that attention and all of that time, we took not all of it, we took 1/3 of it and turned it in on ourselves, we'd have the best year of our lives. Like, no matter what the current circumstances are, we're going to have a significant uptick. So this is really about understanding and having a good sense of your time and your energy. And it's easier than we think. It's simply plodding along step by step, which I've shared in many different ways if you've worked with me before. When you're holding your big picture vision, your impossible goals, and you think about them way out in the future, right? Like the pie in the sky goal. There's a big kind of, gap between where you are, which is here, and where you want to go, which is there. And my favorite thing to talk about is this kind of concept of what is quantum theory anyway. Well, this is how you can use quantum leaping to maximize your human potential. It is lightning. Wow, this is so cool. So tripped out. In order to get from a quantum time space that you would consider here, right? Like you're in this here, to a moment in quantum time space that is there, let's call that the future. that seems far off in the distance, then you have to put yourself in varying degrees of visioning the one step at a time. And this is what people always seem to miss. And I know I have. When the goal does feel really impossible and you don't know how you're going to get there, then that is how you miss what you get to actually do in the moment. So you don't know what the next big step is, right? Like that's the whole thing. It's like I have this huge dream and I don't know how the hell I'm going to get there. But you do know what the next right action is. The next little plot, the little teeny step, whatever that is, and it can be super small. Like, look at it like, again, we're shortening this time frame. It's like, what could I do in the next 2 days that would move the ball forward, that would move this forward for me? What could I do? And sometimes it's so little as to just see, well, what could I not do? What is definitely not going to move me forward? And that's kind of the training that I've laid out here, the hell yes versus the hell no list. And you get to kind of play out and really just take an energetic analysis. It's very pragmatic, even though there's some esoteric teachings in here. It's very pragmatic because you're just taking an energy analysis, like, where are you spending your time and your energy, and what can you scoop up and utilize for your benefit? So, what could you do in the next 2 days to move you forward? And then make those things all you do all day long. And some of it, this is where it gets more energetic. Some of it can be auric, like in your aura. In other words, you can scan everything in your life and hold an energy in a moment over something that you cannot actually do anything about physically, but put it in a frequency where you are imagining it moving forward. And this is how world-class athletes play at the level they play at. I'll use the example of Michael Jordan, right? He literally imagined his body moving in a way that was completely never done before. That was radical, he changed the sport, okay? There was a point, in the day, he couldn't practice harder, right? He couldn't train anymore. He couldn't push his body to do any more than what he was doing. So what would he do? He would just lie in bed at night and imagine his body doing things that nobody had ever done before. And I was a gymnast growing up. I mean, this is how it was in the world of gymnastics. In order, what keeps revolutionizing the sport is that gymnasts keep visualizing their bodies doing things that have never been done before, and then they get the move named after them. And I remember as a kid going to gymnastics camp, and it was like, hold the bar of the greats. So I went to a camp where Mary Lou Retton went, where, lots of Christy Phillips went, Jim Hartog, all these famous gymnasts, Tim Daggett. And we would get up early before the gym actually opened, and we would creep in, and we would hold on to the parallel bars and just put our hands on the bar and visualize, what could I do, how could I move my body and just be there and receive the transmission, right? So that's what this is about. It's sometimes you can't do anything about moving the ball forward. You don't even know what exactly the next step is. You don't know what's going to happen next. And this is a perfect example of being in a circumstance now on the planet where we don't know what's going to happen next, but you can hold a certain frequency around a certain vision in order to get into that higher frequency, right? Of moving things forward in your life. you're getting in there energetically and touching every role that you play, right? The whole energetic mandala of your life as you are right now, as the a person, a householder that you are right now. And if you can't physically do something about the thing that you want to move closer toward, or you don't know what to do next, you don't know how to bring it forth into this 3D reality, then you imagine it. Michael Jordan didn't know he was going to break the sound barrier with his jump shot, with his slam dunk rather. He didn't know how he was going to do it. But he laid in bed and just imagined his body doing things that had never been done before. I didn't know when I was a kid how I was going to nail that back handspring on the beam, but I envisioned myself doing it. And that in and of itself, that's the step, right? You hold the vision, you put yourself in the next right action. That is the next right action. You stand and you hold the vision. You just be with it. You massage it. Whatever the goal is that you're working on, you got to open it up and kind of be with it every day. That's why visualizing is so powerful, because that is the next right action. You want to grow your business. So are you at least opening up your business plan every day and just sitting with it, just being with it, not writing it, not trying to solve a problem, try to figure stuff out. This is beyond your brain. But are you just energetically, your aura, holding this business plan? Let's say, many great writers. One of my spiritual teachers just wrote a book, but she said, she's writing the book. And there were days where the best action she took was just simply being with the blank page every day and just visualizing the words coming onto the page and not typing an actual word. She didn't know it was going to come forth, but she just got to be with the thing every day. And what's cool here also is now being a little bit more sophisticated in the sense that you can use the field of all of these astrological archetypes, right, as the planets resonate with certain days of the week. So understanding the frequency that you can scoop up just in the day of the week that it is and amplify that to whatever you're doing. And you get really, really ninja about this and use that to your benefit as well. Okay, Saturday is Saturn day. And if it's ruled by Saturn and the energy, the frequency that's already here in this day is that of discipline and taking responsibility. So then that's a day where I can be with my vision and have a task list next to me, right? You plod along. In the plodding along itself is a really powerful frequency, because you can create anything. Humans are amazing that we can create any vision. We can create anything. Then there's this big gap between you and the thing, and it's just one right action at a time that gets you there. That's it. Whatever that impossible goal is, it has to be, and I love this phrase, vibrationally massaged as much as you can, even if it feels like the most far-fetched thing in the world, right? Michael Jordan didn't say, I'm gonna create a slam dunk and then a whole line of sneakers after that literally still are the most popular sneakers to wear 30 years after he created that jump shot, right? I mean, he didn't set out with that as the vision. He knew he had a big goal to do something revolutionary in the sport of basketball. And then he visualized his body moving in a way that became iconic and did revolutionize the game. So you massage the thing every day. What most people do instead is they massage the negative. They spend all the time and the energy massaging the negative. It's never going to happen. It's not happening. I don't have the resources. I want it to happen. I want it to happen so bad. I wish it would happen. It's not happening. I wish it would happen. It's not happening. I wish it would happen. Blah, 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 blah. It's on. And I get it because I've done it. I've been there. I do it. And that's a lot of energy that you leave on the table. the spiritual teaching here is this. It's you have to deserve first, then desire, right? So what does that look like? Like, how do you deserve? How do you deserve what you desire? You become fit enough for it. And what does that look like? That looks like MJ. You have to spend some time with your vision. Think about it. Hold it. Massage it. Cherish it. Talk to it. Knock on the door of it. This is the dynamic. This is the age-old spiritual teaching that has shown up in all the scriptures time and time again. The dynamic of the teacher and the student, right? How did you get the teaching? As the student, you knocked on the door of the teacher and the teacher said, no, no way. So you went again the next day, you knocked on the door again, and I'm too busy. So you went, you sat outside of the teacher's temple, and you got ignored, and you kept showing up though, and you kept sitting there, and maybe you were asked to run a few errands, but you kept showing up, and you kept sitting there, and that was doing something. Eventually, you got asked to take the test, and you knew everything. Even though you never sat in the teacher's class, you received the lesson. That's a transmission. All the goals you want to achieve and the vision you want to bring, the vision you're creating that you want to bring forward in your life, you have to keep showing up. You keep knocking on the door. There's a relationship that you're creating. You're cultivating this relationship between you and the goal, and then deserving the goal, right? Let's say you want to create, any personal practice, like maybe it's a meditative practice, or it's a fitness practice, or a body, right? It's a great goal. Like, those are great goals because they're precious, they're priceless. They're priceless. So what do? You knock on the door. So what does that look like? It may look like simply setting the alarm to get up early and meditate, and the alarm goes off and you don't get up. But that's the first right action, is that you set the alarm, right? And that may take months. You set the alarm, you don't get up. You set the alarm, you don't get up. Depending on what kind of support you have and what you're up against in your own head. But one day you look at the alarm and you decide to do 2 minutes of breathing, or you chant, and then you go back to sleep. Well, that's the goal. Like, the goal, you just got it. You created your own personal practice. You did. It's one little step at a time. You put your head down, right? And you just plod along. It's like inch by inch, right? Yard by yard, it's really hard. Inch by inch, life's a cinch. And the cool thing is, like P. Diddy said, you only have you to impress. So the only yardstick is the one you're measuring against, so you get to clap for your damn self too. That is success. You keep going, and that's a fulfilled human life. Like, that is the time of your life. You cultivate the fitness, you build your endurance, your power, your strength, and your agility for that. That is deserving of the desire. And those are the steps that you're taking. You got the goal, the thing you desire. And then what are you doing every day to plod along, to knock on the door, one little step at a time, one little inch at a time? Cultivating that relationship. Constantly accept being befuddled and bewildered by it, right? You don't have to know how, but enjoy the beginner's mind of it all and allow it to release you from the anxiety of, like, it's not going to happen. I wish it would happen. I never know. And alchemize that into childlike wonder and curiosity and excitement. Because one move at a time, no matter how small it is it's going to matter, as long as it's a forward move. Right? As long as it's a forward move. Do not make the same mistake twice. That is where you lose your stamina. That's where you get hurt. It's like you run into a wall and you hit your head. And you're like, okay, well, let me go at it again. And you run the same position, same wall, and you hit your head again. And you keep doing that. Eventually you're like, that freaking hurts. But what if you take a big leap in a different direction, a different position, and you hit the wall with your leg? Well, it's a more interesting mistake. That's a more interesting mistake. Make better or more complex mistakes, but just not the same one. Like, that's not allowed. It's fine to make the more complex or the higher risk mistake because it actually works you through any fear of failure. You keep failing up. So each time you're making a more complex, more interesting, more creative mistake, it's that's another step forward, right? You're always carried by the divine. There's always guidance available. But that does not mean that you're just going to have to muscle it up sometimes, and that it does take work, but it's noble work. Again, this is life. This is what makes life fulfilling. It's not even about the goal necessarily. It's how fit you are, how determined you are to get there, the visual, like falling in love with your visualization of it, falling in love with the mistakes that you make, being in that beginner's mind. And again, like, what are you having a romance? Are you having a relationship with your goal? And what else are you going to spend your energy on? It takes the same amount of effort, and I say this all the time, it takes the same amount of effort and energy to say shitty things to yourself, compare yourself to other people, spin out an anxiety about losing everything. Like, and that's like kind of, you put that on autopilot, that's the same mistake over and over and over again. And those, like, that's really boring, and it literally sucks the life right out of you. And those things are definitely not going to get you closer to your vision, that's for sure. So the right action could simply just be like, wow, my goal is big, and thinking negatively doesn't move me closer to that goal. So the right action could be, well, what would be a thought that I could think that would move me closer to my goal? I mean, the goal is big. It's going to be intense. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to work. It takes work. You're creating a relationship with your own frequency and the frequency of the thing. And so the guide that I'm offering is starting with really first step is like, what are your strengths? We don't necessarily always have to focus on, like, Michael Jordan didn't go to bed every night and think about how flawed he was. He was like, well, I have all these capabilities, and if I can move these resources around, these physical resources I have, this prowess I have, if I can put this all together and channel it, what does that look like? Versus, but I didn't do this, I didn't hit that, I don't know, like, so you're going to start by really looking at what your strengths are. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, now here are all the things I want to accomplish. The most, like, crazy, ridiculous goals to some things that may seem pretty easy. It doesn't matter. You're going to dump them all out. You're just going to get them out in your most manic state. All the things that you feel really anxious and neurotic about that you've had on your list forever, or the things you feel like you can't do, it's all going down. It's going down on the paper. And then you're going to start to organize it from there. And you're literally just going to put a number next to, it's funny, I have my list right here, is you put a number or a star next to all the things that you are actively working on right now. And then you get to kind of, after that, look at it and put, maybe another symbol next to everything else that feels like a dump. Like, I just dumped this out. It's not something I'm working on yet. And then there are those things on the list that maybe you're not sure what category. They're like in the maybe category. And then you're going to go through the list of all the things you're actively working on right now. And you're going to look at it from, wow, like, how does that make you feel in your body, right? Like, feel how you're feeling when you're doing those things. Like, is your body buzzing in that hell yes? Is it like, oh, I'm doing this thing and it's like, oh, it's so good, it feels amazing, I love it so much, I can't believe how dark it is, it's like so funny. And if it's not, the buzz then it's everything else, right? So take a moment, you go through that whole list and you really imagine yourself doing it and like get sober. How does it honestly feel in your body? What we're looking for, this very somatic response. Are you lit up or not? It's like, it's either or. It's not like, oh, I'm not sure. If you're not sure if it's lighting you up, then it is not lighting you up. Because if it's lighting you up, it's lighting you up. And you know it, you feel it. It's like orgasmic. You know it. And then you're going to continue on from there and then go through the guide. And then you're going to make some decisions about, you know, what you're doing. Like, and showing up, being excellent 2 hours at a time. And then using the sophisticated technology of you know, the archetypes of astrology and the days, and you get to cultivate all of this even with your own personality. It's pretty empowering. I'm going to leave it at that and dive into the guide. So much goodness. And the reason why I was here is because, like, I go to bed at night and I visualize my goals, and I wake up in the morning and I put my palms on my face and I picture my goals and I hold that vision, and I don't know how I'm going to get there. But I am cultivating that relationship every single day. And that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten so far. And I'm going to continue on that path. Sending you much love. Peace out.